Whatever it is in your neck of the woods today, welcome. I'm so happy that you are joining me here at 12radio.com, where we really are devoted to helping you become more your groovy self. My name is Lacey Dawn Jackson, the Groovy Green Goddess, and yeah, here I am, and here you are, and I hope that you're having a wonder-filled day. I will be talking about the solar plexus, which I think is like the happy chakra. Anyway, it is the chakra that has probably helped me out the most with changing my attitude for myself, or changing the attitude I have that I have struggled with, that self-esteem thing and stuff. So I'm hoping that I can help you and shift your energy today so you can be a better and awesomer you. So I will also be doing live readings, as well as what else? Now next week, before I forget, I will be doing the fairy scopes again, and I think I'm gonna throw in a joke within my fairy scopes, because we all need a joke. And da 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 da. It's joke time. Before I go any further, Wordsworth just popped up on my Facebook. And if you are listening to this and you live and you want to go into our Facebook page, our Facebook closed group, so you can ask me a question in the chat room under my banner, go over to 12 Radio via Facebook, and Scott, my producer, will let you in. And yes, thanks, Scott. I a lot of times don't give him public knowledge or acknowledgement, but man, he keeps me on track. And for example, I'm sitting here waiting for him to ring in, and all of a sudden I realize I don't even have Skype on, and how is he going to ring in? And so I turned on Skype, and he was getting ready to Facebook chat me and say, "Get your ass on Skype." Actually, I don't think he would have said it that way, but he's a very nice guy, and I really appreciate him helping me out on the radio. So yes, joke of the day before we go any further is, all right. Okay. How did the bird break into the house? How did the bird break into the house? Does anybody know? You know what? I think I'm going to wait to give you that answer in a few minutes, because I always just give you the answer right away, and then you can just have the answer. So I'm going to see if you can't guess that answer, and post it under my banner in the chat room, and I'll say bravo if you get it. So anyway, before I go any further, I do post this video on my YouTube channel. And if you have a moment, if you would go over to my YouTube channel and subscribe so you can watch my videos. I'm working on getting 100 peeps over there, so I can get it verified and all that good stuff that YouTube wants us to do, and I would really appreciate it. I think I'm about halfway there, and it's not something I've been really focused on until recently, but I think that it's something I would like to do. So I am putting that YouTube link in the chat room, so you can go over and subscribe, and I really appreciate you doing that. Thank you in advance for taking a moment and doing that yeah, and then I can move on and get verified and all that good stuff. Also, if you are listening or if you're watching this video in a replay, please put in the chat on the Facebook replay, pound replay. Then that way I know that you're listening to it, watching it in a replay. And that just, gives me information and gives me the opportunity to stop by and say howdy doody to you. So, yeah. Okay. Okay, Jan. No, it's not flew the coop. So the joke of the day is, how did the bird break into the house? How did the bird break into the house? It has, okay, I'll give you a hint. It has the name of a bird. Yes. All right. So, hi, Kweli and Beth. Thanks for tuning in over on my my Facebook Live. And, okay. Okay. They're saying in the chat room they have no clue. Okay, as soon as I tell you the answer to it, you guys are going to go, oh my God, that is just so corny. All right, so how did the bird break into the house? With a crowbar. Oh my gosh. I think it's really important that we, find something to laugh about every day. Even if it is just the corniest joke in the whole wide world, it's really important. So, anyway. Yes. I'm going to click that out and get done with maybe some of the announcements, because I always seem to run out of time. Portland, Oregon, not Portland, Maine, but Portland, Oregon in a couple weeks, June 16th. It's a Saturday. I will be at the new Psychic Sister vintage clothing store in Portland, Oregon, seeing clients. I'm so excited. I get to see some clients that live in the Portland area that usually have to come up to Olympia to see me. So I'm excited about seeing you guys, and I know that there are a few of you who listen on a regular basis. You may not be in the chat room, but you certainly listen and have reached out and let me know that you are going to make an appearance, and I hope you do. You don't even have to get a reading, but stop in to the store and check out the vintage clothing and say hi to me, and I would love to give you a hug. So if you want to get a hug, Portland, Oregon, June 16th is where I'll be, and that's, yeah. I will be in Olympia, Washington, the Psychic Sister, the week after. I think it's that Friday afterwards. So stop in there. I know that there are quite a few of you locals that listen, and I don't want to call you lurkers, but it would be nice if you got into the 1-2 radio chat room and say hi. Yeah. So are you a lurker? You know what? I sometimes am a lurker. A lurker is someone who goes on to one of the social media platforms and just kind of, pokes around and reads what everybody's doing. And sometimes we don't want to say anything, and there's nothing wrong with being a lurker. So anyway, lurk away. Let's go into the chat room here. And yes, it is very corny. Very corny. He pecked his way in, but crowbar is funnier. Yes. Yes, Beth. So let's start off with a reading. And this reading is a general reading for all of you for the next few days coming into the weekend. Many of my clients have been having a rough and tough time. Things are shifting and changing. Have you felt it? I know that I have. I've certainly have felt a heaviness at the first of the week, or probably more last week. Last week I had a lot of electronic stuff going on. It was as if what some people call Mercury in retrograde. Hi, Catherine. Thanks for tuning in. Ingrid. Hi. So it has calmed down, and I woke up yesterday morning feeling this lift. It was as if I was not having to push through some of the things that I wanted to do, or that was on my list to do, or things I had to get done. And there was this excitement in this, okay, what does the world have to offer me today? And I'm seeing that with some of my clients, that they're feeling this uplift, and yay, bravo for us, because it has been Ingrid, that is a great reminder that it's not being a lurker, but it's a worker. It's a worker. So sometimes we don't necessarily have time to go and say howdy doody and all that, but we want to find out and just keep abreast of what people are doing. So Ingrid, I appreciate you tuning in and working at the same time. I do that a lot too. I have to kind of, and they say that you're, in order to get something done, you have to turn Facebook off, which, yeah, I agree to that. But there are some things I can do work-wise that I can have Facebook on and just kind of see what's going on and everything. So, yeah. Anyway, this week, lot easier than last week. We are feeling the tangible energy of change and shift. Oh, and it's like a breath of fresh air. Although, for some, it's kicking our asses because, we are definitely being prompted to shift and change the way that we're doing things, that, and I know you all know this, but it's important that we go down another road if we want to see change in our life. Okay? It's really important we do things different. Yep. Be that different person that you see yourself. Many of us have a vision of how we see ourselves. And if it's a stinking thinking vision, stop that right now and get some positive affirmations out. And, this, the solar plexus chakra that I'm talking about today will definitely give you some ideas on how to raise your self-esteem. But in order to facilitate the change you want and the things that you want to manifest in your life, we have to be willing to get uncomfortable and roll up our sleeves and get to work and fall down a couple times and get back up and learn from falling, learn from failing. I think it's really important that we at least fail several times in our life in order to be that stronger person to manifest what it is that we are working very hard at manifesting and getting to our vision. And so when you fail, or when you feel like you're failing, you're actually not failing at all. You're just learning. We're here to learn. We're here to step out of our comfort zone. All right, so I am, like I said, going to do a reading. So I'm gonna pick 3 cards here. My cards are over here in the pile here, and if you're not familiar with my cards, see how many cards in my deck that I have. Can never have too many cards. Now, I don't always use my cards when I am doing face-to-face readings. When I do readings on One to Listen, I start out with just channeling the information. I start out with just what comes up and not second guessing it. Even if it doesn't make sense to me, I relay that message. And then if we have time towards the end of the reading, let's say that towards the end of the reading, I pick a card, and a lot of times it astounds me, it shocks me still that the card has something to do with what we have already talked about, discussed, what has come up in what I'm giving, what that information is. And of course, a lot of times the information that I get when I'm doing readings is basically what you have already been getting in the back of your mind, or those hits, but you need confirmation, because we are all very psychic. But it's always nice to, come to people that can affirm what you're already thinking and give you that little punch in the arm, that little shot in the arm to get you going, to hold your hand so you can, step out into the uncomfort zone. And there's a lot of us doing it. There's a lot of us doing it these days, especially if we want to make shifts and changes in our life. So I chose 3 cards here. And the cards, the first card is the peaceful card. Oh, I'm going to go off track here like I usually do, but look at that. I can read it. It says peaceful. So for the last several weeks, I have not been able to figure out, or I didn't even know that there was a button that you could push to reverse things, like see, my Lacy Faye is right there. And it's right. It's not backwards. And the cards are not backwards. So, it's the simple things like that. When we learn the simple things, and one of my Facebook buddies, Darren Danks, he is a health coach and motivator and knows so much about just all those little things that you do, like how to get the... See, this is in the opposite direction. This is actually over there, but it's showing over here, so that confuses me. But it opened up my world this morning when I found out that I could figure this out. And thank you again. It's people like that come into our lives that help us catapult forward. So being open to meeting new people, joining new groups. I'm in this this group that it's a marketing group, and I'm doing some things with my next book that is coming out this year. Yay! Finally! I don't know how many times I've said that, but it's getting closer. But it is when my boyfriend kicked me out of the van, by the way. My boyfriend never did kick me out of the van. I've said that before. But, through the years, when I have mentioned that title to people, I have received, and I'm so thankful for this, I have received many stories about actual events taking place of a girlfriend or a boyfriend kicking the other out of a van. I know, who would have thunk? But yeah, anyway, I was just on this, being grateful and full of gratitude for the different groups that I have joined lately. I encourage you, if you want to do something different, step out of your comfort zone and get things done, join a group or a social media group, or, a group in your town if you want to get to know people in the face-to-face, a meetup or something. There are a lot of great meetups there, so you don't necessarily, have to go to a bar to meet your twin flame or whatever. Yeah. Gosh, that online dating thing. I've been doing that recently, and gosh. Anyway, it's just funny. Lots of frogs out there. I'm glad I don't kiss any more frogs. So the reading is the first one, peace. And this is a time for you to stay in the present moment. Stay in the present moment. Don't necessarily future trip, even though you have these goals that you want to obtain and you're working towards. Staying in the present moment really helps us get catapult forward. I've noticed this in projects, or I used to be very type A, coming from a corporate world and having to get things done and deadlines and, just type A from the get-go. I always had 3 jobs and when I was in high school and stuff. And so it just taught me to be this workaholic kind of person. And yeah, I still got a lot done in my life and obtained my goals. And but one thing that I noticed is that when I slowed down, even though it was very hard to slow down, hey, Cece, hola. Glad you could join us today. So when I decided to slow down and become more peaceful within my heart, it was really hard because it wasn't what I was used to doing, was becoming peaceful and slowing down, even though I had a list this long of all my goals and a list this long of all my chores that I needed to get done. And but when I started taking time out and slowing down, smelling the roses, and just being okay if I didn't get things accomplished in the time or the manner that I wanted to, guess what? I still got them done, and I had this peace within my heart. And so this card here today is a call for you to feel that peace within your heart. And if you sit for a moment and you're just like going, wow, you know what? My heart isn't feeling at all peaceful. What the world is that all about? Be willing to look at, okay, why is my heart not peaceful? What can I change in my life to become more at ease and more at peace within my heart? Sometimes we are going through situations, challenges. Others know how to pull our buttons, push our buttons, pull our strings, and we all of a sudden are like acting like this person that we are not anymore. But our loved ones, they do know how to push those buttons, and it's important to be aware all the time about, okay, bring this peace back into my heart. Where's my peace? Where's my peace? And maybe your peace at the time is a piece of just walking outside, getting a whiff of fresh air and taking some deep breaths and just being still. Maybe that's how you get your peace today. We are all spiritual beings living a human experience, and you know what? It is challenging out there, especially when we want to make changes, live the best life that we can live, or maybe, just maybe, and we're all guilty of this in one fashion or another, I think, anyway. There is a day that we just want to not deal with anything. Maybe that's your body, your mind, your spirit's way of saying, you know what, disconnect from all that you have been doing. Disconnect from the electronics. Disconnect from you thinking about all your goals. Disconnect from everything and take some extreme self-care. All right? Extreme self-care. That is what is important. You know, I do this program, Health Matters. And it is important that our main basis in Health Matters is extreme self-care. Even if we feel like we don't have the time or we are struggling to find that peace within our bodies, our minds, our spirits, that we can, you know, I don't like that word fake because it's like overutilized in this right now, but sometimes we do have to fake it until we make it. Sometimes we have to show up, and we have to show up and be positive, even though within we're not feeling that peace, or we're not feeling that positive self, or maybe we're depressed. And, you know, acknowledging it, acknowledging that, and when we acknowledge our emotions, then that is a step closer to that peace within our heart that we all have within us. Maybe it's just hiding a little bit. Maybe it's hiding behind the heart valve or something. So the second card, I chose 3 cards today. Okay. Drink water. This is the opportunity. Drink water. So important to stay hydrated. I think that's my tagline. Stay hydrated. You know, if you stay hydrated, then your head and your heart, all your organs work so much better that you increase your intuitive abilities. Yeah. Just drinking water increases your intuitive abilities. It does. So, stay hydrated, especially if where you live is, you know, hot weather, or you're more than active than usual. Stay hydrated. You will find that the more hydrated you are, the more you will be that clear conduit, that vehicle to get your information and your own psychic information. You'll be more psychic. You will. I promise. So the second card here is listening. Oh. So in order to feel that peace within, it's also very important to listen. Listen to what our heart is saying. You know, if we are in a situation where over and over and over and over and over again, we find ourselves wishing we were not in a situation. But then, you know, it gets a little better, or we just deal with it. And then a month or a week or a day goes by, and here we go again. The same thought pattern, the same message is coming up that you're not happy in this situation. Listen to that. That is your psychic ability. That's your intuitive muscle. Okay? That's your intuitive muscle. So it's really, really important to take the time to listen every day. And yeah, sometimes our ego, you know, gets all like caught up in that and goes, okay, well, if she's listening now, if he's listening, you know what, I'm going to give him something to listen to. And so the ego takes over and starts talking about, you know, not doing something, not making the change. It's too hard. It's too crazy. I'm not doing it. That's your ego. Pay attention to your ego. Learn how to discern between your ego and your higher self. And, you know, there are ways that you can do that. If the voice within is saying in a very gentle, slow manner, you could do this. and you know, you could do that, then that's your higher self talking to you. If the voice inside your head is like going, well, I could do this, and you know what, I'm going to do this, and maybe I better not do this at the time because it's just too much change. If it starts with an I, then you know what? That's your ego. That's your ego wanting you to stay stuck because your ego really likes to be comfortable. Your ego doesn't want you to grow. Your ego doesn't want you to evolve. Although, you know what? Without our ego, we would not be growing and evolving and getting things done. So our ego is a good thing. Nice ego. Nice ego. So, being at peace, listening. Oh, and I love this one, you know, especially since I've been experimenting with online dating, although I haven't actually met anyone in the physical form lately. I think I'm just too busy, and I don't necessarily have the time. So there you go. Maybe that's my ego saying, you know what? Take the time to do that. No, romance angels. The angels are sending you divine love. You know, when I see that card, it isn't always about dating or that your love of your life is going to come in. What that card tells me much of the time is that it is about you being your love of your life, about you being your own lover, you being the most authentic self that you can be, you being honest and being an example. When we are an example of how we want to be treated, how we are, then we are more apt to manifest or bring in the same energy. So, love yourself. Take yourself out on a date. So, if you are listening to this reading on a replay, then this reading, if it resonates with you, is a reading for you. I'm almost out of water. I should have filled my water before I started because I drink a lot of water. Okay, so what do the fairies have to say this week? You know what I heard? And I better listen to this. I heard the fairy say, you better get on with talking about the solar plexus. Okay, fairies. Yes. The fairies, you know what? They are very good at helping us keep our light sense of humor, giving us a sense of humor when things in our life is a little messy. You know, whether you believe or not, just pretend like you believe in one day and see how your life shifts and changes. So I would really encourage you to invite the fairies into your daily activities and just see how goofy and how much better you feel when you have the fairies hanging out with you. You know. All right, I'm going to go into the chat room here. And, yeah. What a cute frog with a big old smile. Yes, you know what? That frog looks kissable right there. Online dating frogs. Yeah. All right. So Deborah wants a coming of the month reading. So that reminds me to remind you, next week I start my fairy scopes, which will be a monthly occurrence. The first Thursday of the month, I will be going over your fairy scope of the month, what you could pay attention to encourage you, yourself, your life to get better and blossom, and you'll get a joke of the month that you can turn around and tell everybody that you meet, you know. I know. So let's talk about the solar plexus chakra. So for those of us who have struggled with depression, who have absolutely just had terrible low self-esteem, you know, there is, for those of you who have not read my first book, I talk about a suicide attempt that I had. I know. And you know what? More people than we realize think about suicide. And there are communities out there, there are organizations out there that if you are feeling depressed or you know, feeling like things aren't going to get better, that you can always reach out, and you are never alone. Remember that you're never alone. Okay. The solar plexus chakra is the chakra that helps us take a hold of our positive energy as far as our own love for ourself. Now, it could also be, and it is, that chakra that when it's not spinning in the right direction, or when we are not feeding it, that can cause that depression, that can cause us to have very low ideas of ourself. So the solar plexus chakra, if it's spinning out of control, we could be aggressive. We could be acting very controlling. A lot of times it's because we feel that we are not in control of our life. So we try to control others because we have a low self-esteem. We look at ourselves as being lower than. So it's really important to, even if you don't understand all this chakra stuff, maybe you've never heard of it before, or maybe you're just like, you know, whatever. It is an exercise, or there are exercises we can do to help shift that energy, that low energy of depression, that low energy of, you know, that excessive, dominating, controlling energy because we feel out of control. Certainly there are many things we need to do for ourselves if we are feeling this way, but one of the things that we can start by doing is visualizing that yellow color right here. Our solar plexus is right above the navel, right above the belly button, okay? And that's our solar plexus. And it is where our self-empowerment is stored. And if we don't have it, then, you know, we have a tendency to get depressed. We have a tendency to not feel our best. So something that you can start to do, and this is a very simple thing, and you may not feel the workings of it, but it does reverberate out in an energetic fashion. And we have many layers of energy outside of ourselves. So just by visualizing the orange and having the orange be bright and sunny, you know, sometimes people visualize the sunshine there. When we are out in the sunshine, vitamin D, and a lot of times it will just increase our mood, and we may not understand why we feel happier all of a sudden when we're in the sunshine. Well, visualizing that yellow color in our solar plexus chakra will also encourage that feeling of well-being, that warmth, that feeling we get when we are out in the sun, when we are, getting that vitamin D in our life, in our bodies, mind, and spirit. And this helps on every level, body, mind, and spirit. So, this is where we have that fire within us. And if that fire is smoking, but it's it needs to be stoked. This is one of those ways that we can stoke that fire within us, is simply feeling that yellow color, seeing in our mind's eye that yellow color right here, and it will help shift. It will help shift us. And it's just the beginning of what can help us with our self-esteem. When our yellow chakra, our solar plexus chakra, is operating in the right manner, then we feel vitality. We feel positive about what is happening in our lives. We feel excited about what is to come. We have high self-esteem. Certainly, it takes work sometimes to get all this stuff in a row, and just there are many different things that we can do to help up our self-esteem. One of those things that we can do is to also do affirmations. I am so big on affirmations. I remember years ago I was reading this book on affirmations. It was a really old book. I should see if I could find out what it was. It was during a time where I hated myself. I hated everything around me. I was mad at the world. I was mad because things were not going in my direction. Of course, I was making some choices in my life that attributed to me being mad. And I firmly believe that the more we stink and think, the more stinking thinking stuff happens in our life. So that's when we sometimes have to, well, in my case, I had to fake it. I had to write down on sticky notes in my little, the cassette player. I had this little cassette player, and I recorded sentences at the time, affirmative sentences, to help me feel better, to help me feel, basically just to feel, because I was numb and I didn't feel, and the only thing that I felt was mad. Even when I listened to those affirmative thoughts that I had in my own voice, I would a lot of times turn it off because I couldn't stand to listen to my own voice. I couldn't stand to hear such positive things and me not feeling that. It took practice. But I really do believe that the more I listened to it, the more there was something within me that started believing it. Even if it was that much. Remember that mustard seed? It was that much that I started half believing that I was worth something. So I, wanted to live, and I wanted to, go forth in my life. And I started listening to my intuition and not second guessing it. So, I believe that it was this solar plexus, the chakra here, that really helped me find my power within me. One of the affirmations for our solar plexus is, I fully enjoy everything I do. Okay, look at that sentence. I fully enjoy everything I do. Maybe you're in a job or a situation where you're not loving it at all. Maybe changing this affirmation into I fully enjoy everything that I do right here, right now, until something better comes along. This or something better. This or something better. And find the blessing in what is going on now. And also, this is a little direct, but finding the gumption to change what is going on now. Sometimes it's easier for us to point the finger at, okay, I can't make this change. I'm stuck. But I also believe that where there is a will, there is a way. I felt stuck many times in my life. And boy, even if I didn't know what the way was, I created movement. Maybe we don't know exactly what direction we're going, but when we create movement, and a movement that we have not made before. Remember, going down that other road, going down that unfamiliar path into that unfamiliar territory, we don't have to remain victims, and we absolutely can change our situation. So I fully enjoy everything that I do. I value and trust myself fully. So for those of us who have suffered from low self-esteem or that are currently suffering from low self-esteem, low self-esteem is just not valuing ourselves. And working on just loving yourself for all the faults that you think you have, all the faults that we can easily come up with within ourselves. It's easier to come up with faults within ourselves than another person can. Or maybe that's not true either. I know people that will fault others before they fault themselves. So it is important for us to fully trust ourselves, fully listen to what we get within our heart, that peace, coming back to the card I pulled at the first of the show is, that peace card, reminding ourselves to come back to that peace within and finding it. And maybe it's just a moment of peace. Pat yourself on the back that it's a moment of peace. I continue to work at it. Yeah. I am enough. And everything that I do in life is enough. Again, it comes back to that acceptance of ourselves and exactly where we are right here, right now. Yeah, sure. I'm sure there are things that you want to that you want to change within yourself. And you can. And it's usually not easy. You know what I have found in my life? That some of the hardest things that I have had to do includes listening to my intuition and changing things in my life, going down a different path and others do not understand. Valuing what it is that comes up for us, valuing that I am enough, and valuing that everything we do in life is enough. And if there is something to that when you say that for yourself that doesn't feel right, then change what you're doing. I know, easier said than done. Believe me, I have been there, done that with all kinds of dysfunction and all kinds of choices. And, if I can make a change within myself, I know you can. And put my big girl panties on and make the changes. And you know what? I'm not saying that it's easy to get out of depression and easy to change the way that we feel about ourselves, but we can do it. Believe me, I know we can do it, and I know you can do it too. So remembering that we are never alone. And I keep hearing that. I think that's what the fairies are telling us today, is that we are never alone. We may feel like we are, especially if our solar plexus, our self-esteem is like in the ditch. That remember that you are never alone, and that there is someone, a higher power, or someone that will hold your hand. Okay. Sometimes one of the hardest things to do in that situation is to ask. I remember when I was getting clean for the first time, or maybe it was the second time years ago. I would go to NA meetings, and I would leave before everybody started hugging everyone else, because it was like, oh my gosh, you know what? I don't want to get too close. And once I stepped out of my comfort zone and stayed, then my world opened up. I realized that I wasn't in this all by myself. So I'm just saying, you're not in whatever it is you're going through. You're not in it all by yourself. Picturing that yellow sunshine in your tummy will really shift things, even if it's just a little bit. All right. I am a powerful, radiant, and magnetic being of light. All right. You are. I see it. I see your light shining. And when I talk to people over the phone, doing readings for them, I see the light. Even if the person doesn't see the light within themselves, we all have a light. I think that sometimes we have to acknowledge the dark, because we all have that. It's that balance thing. We all have that. So, acknowledging the dark as well as the light, and moving on. I can't believe it. 1 minute, actually less than 1 minute. I really appreciate you tuning in today. I was going to tell you that I have a special, an email 3-question special over at 12listen.com that I would love to help you out today. If you would like me to look at something, you have 3 questions, and I can get right back to you within 24 hours. So that's over at 12listen.com. I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to listen to me, whether it is on a replay or live. Have a fabulous day. Next week, we will be talking about the heart chakra, and doing live readings, and whatever else comes up. So stay tuned for the Psychic Sisters, and have a fabulous week. Peace and out.